Good evening and welcome to episode number 82 of Tetrakey TV. My name's Rob Yates. I'm one of the founders of Tetrakey and it's my pleasure to come to you this evening on Monday the 1st of May. I hope you've had a wonderful weekend, and if you're like me today's been a long holiday weekend. So if today's been a holiday for you, I hope you've had a great extra day, extended day for your weekend, had a chance to spend it with family, with friends, with loved ones, and really made the most of the opportunity that we've been given. What I want to talk to you tonight about is how far ahead of yourself are you really? This is something that I work with all clients. You see, the further you are ahead of yourself, the more you can predict and preempt what's going to happen, what's going to occur, and the more you can put in place in terms of a strategy or structure, thoughts, ideas, in terms of you managing yourself and getting the very best version of you on display to the world the entire time. I was talking to a client today, and we were talking around the analogy of, well, what sort of person are you? And you see, here's the thing. You could have, on this public holiday weekend, as it is for me, you could have spent Monday afternoon with friends, drinking beer all afternoon and evening. And then you would wake up tomorrow morning with the world's biggest headache. And you'd go hunting for some paracetamol or Tylenol or something like that, Panado, to temporarily take the headache away. And are you that sort of person? Are you the sort of person who ends up rolling into something without thinking any further ahead than maybe this evening? Or are you the sort of person who thinks, actually, drinking alcohol on this day before I go back to being the very best version of my working me possibly tomorrow isn't the most sensible thing that I can do, and actually I should get some rest and prepare myself. And pretty much there is only those two sorts of people in the world. And all of this comes down to a degree of what I would like to call crystal balling. You look into a crystal ball, and the crystal ball tells you what the future is like, what it looks like. And people think that's something that's mythical, but I'm a firm believer that knowing what you know about yourself and about your world, your situation, the way you behave, things that trigger amazing behavior in you and amazing outcomes, and things that trigger less desirable outcomes in you, that we can pretty much go and use our diary to preempt what it is we're likely to experience and then put things in place to help ourselves. And so how far on a microscopic basis are you? You see, the art of being ahead of yourself is to have a macro, so a large scale, a meso, so that's a medium scale, and a micro scale view over your next few hours, your next few days, and your next few weeks. So what is it that you're doing in your planning, looking ahead to ensure that you get the very best version of you on display when it's needed? What is that? And if you're not doing it, how are you going to start doing that? And for me, the starting point is your diary. Look into your diary for the next 2 to 3 days. Look at the meetings you've got, the people you're going to meet, and then think, okay, that's all the formal structure in my diary, but what's the informal structure? Who am I likely to bump into or pass by that them thinking I'm suitable for something or having a good impression of me also would significantly benefit me? And then start thinking about, well, how do I prepare myself for those formal and informal engagements and get far enough ahead of the curve? Is it that we need to ignore the TV and get an early night? Is it that we need to not drink alcohol? Is it that we need to wake up earlier and do some exercise? Is it that we should really have read a whole lot of documentation, books or something to get ourselves further ahead? Is there a whole series of jobs that you need to be doing that you just need to get on with and just getting up earlier? What is it that you need to stop doing, and what is it that you need to start doing in order to ensure that you are ahead of yourself far enough to put the very best version of you on display? Because here's the thing that we know. When the very best version of you is on display, life is easy, life flows, life works. You get most of the outcomes that you want and need. And yet when you end up flustered, often you end up flustered and having the not best version of you when you're not far enough ahead. And so that means that we need to think ahead in terms of the next minutes and hours, the next days and the next weeks. And that's what I'd like you to start doing as soon as possible. Personally speaking, I generally plan my diary to the hour over a 3-week window. I generally plan, and then I generally then consider the next 3 days and what is it that I'm going to be doing on an hourly basis, and what is it I need to put in place for me in terms of strategies to get the very best out of each hour. And some of those things in terms of getting further ahead of my curve are things like preparing myself that I'm going to turn the internet off in my home for 3 hours tomorrow morning, so I'm not going to get distracted by anything. My phone will be turned off and I can just get a whole series of pieces of writing done that I need to get in place before I go to the US next. Things like that. I ensure that the relevant people in my world know that I won't be available for that period of time. So people like Mark, my business partner, my wife, so on and so forth. And so what is it that you're doing to get far enough ahead of your curve to buy yourself the opportunity to get done what you need to do and to be the very best version of you? That's my challenge for you for the next week, and going forwards beyond that next week is getting further ahead of yourself, putting the very best version of you purposefully on display to the world, and noticing the benefit that you get from it. So that's it for our Performance Acceleration Thought of the Day today. Go and put that in place, and please send us a message and let me and Mark know how it is that you're doing with getting further ahead of your curve. If you find this challenging, please come and either email us, info@tetrakey.com, or send us a message on Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn, and just ask us a question. What is it you want answered? And one of us will personally come back to you and answer that question. So I'd like to thank you for joining us this evening for episode number 82 of Tetrakey TV. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow evening, and I look forward to hearing about you getting far enough ahead of your curve to always have the very best version of you on display. Stay awesome.